Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. This is the public hearing for the Veterans Field restroom and parking lot renovation. I'm Jonathan Chines, the chair of the Town Council, joined here by my council colleagues as well as Councillor Vincent online. We will be starting today with the Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone could please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated. The purpose of today is to hear your feedback and questions, and so we will be spending most of our time this evening inviting public comment. Before we get to that, though, I would like to invite our town engineer, Bill Renaud, up just to give a brief presentation about the proposed project so that everyone has some context for any questions or comments that you have. So, Bill?
Sure. Thanks. Good evening, folks. Let me get back. All right. So tonight we're looking to go through a few items. One, siting options for the restroom. Second, the different types of styles that we have for the restroom, but basically the type of building that we can install. I also have some facade options that we're going to talk about, and then we'll go to the parking rehabilitation portion of the project. So starting off first, this is similar to what was presented at the town council meeting back on, what was it, September 11th, I believe we were there. And so we have three locations that we've identified through our engineering group. One is in Hall Park, basically adjacent to where the farmers market is. We have a couple of pros, which one of the big ones is that we would be able to install a bigger building there to potentially accommodate the storage that's needed for the farmers market. Unfortunately, though, it would take a little bit more money to complete, as we have to do more utility work to go and site in this location, and obviously the bigger building would be a little bit more expensive as well. Jumping to our second location, so this is what I would consider my preferred location. At Site 2, which is the adjacent to the bleachers, we currently have our porta potties that are there in the same location. We already have water utility there because there's a bubbler basically right in the same location where we'd be installing it. And we also have, we'd be closer to our planned ADA parking enhancements, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Big con for this area only would be that we are limited with the size of the building when we're adjacent to the ball field. So the storage options for the farmers market would be limited, and we, in all likelihood, can't accommodate that. Third location is behind the backstop. Very similar to Site 2, just a little bit more utility work and making the bathroom further away from our ADA parking spaces. So this gives you three sort of buildings. So we're looking at a prefabricated building that comes essentially on a truck and is delivered to the site. We see that it shows as block buildings, but we have an ability to facade it in different ways, and we'll jump into those facades in a few minutes. But basically, we're looking at a two restroom facility. So we would have two unisex bathrooms that would be able to be used independent of each other. We'd also look at a water bubbler to be attached to the building. And then if you see to the far right, one of the features that I think would be, what would make a ton of sense would be more of a canopy overhang type look to the area to get out of the rain if that's there, or even out of the sun while you're filling your water bottle and using the facilities. So this gives you an example of kind of what that would look like real world. So the one on the left shows you clapboard siding, much smaller building that would not have an overhang. One to the right shows the overhang and kind of canopy look to it. Again, keep in mind that it's shown as a block facade, but we're not going to propose that approach. So here are some facade options that we've looked at. So I was at the Historic Commission meeting, I want to say 2 weeks ago at this point. So we heard some feedback from those folks on colors and options. So I'm going to show you three really different options here. So first one is a gray building with a white trim. This is kind of looking at it straight on forward. This would not have the overhang. This is kind of just the plain old building. Looking at the gray option. This kind of gives you the front kind of isometric view and then the rear view. In all likelihood, we couldn't really do the door on the back. That would be moved to the side, but we'd still be able to have some, accommodations for our maintenance folks to be able to clean the bathroom and do their stuff. This gives us a bigger look, so with more of a hip roof style and a small, oh, there you go, and a small portico kind of jetting out from it. I like, one of the things I like about this, besides the overhang, is that they're doing this with with posts as opposed to a wall type of look to it. This is a white on white trim version of it that has more of a separating wall. So you have 3 distinct locations in this one. One being the middle door being for our maintenance folks and having more storage, and then the 2 bathrooms on the left and right hand side of the slide. That's what that would look like in a straight on view of the facade. And then here's a look of kind of the same idea in a blue on blue color scheme, kind of matching the Harshorn house, although I think our historic folks aren't necessarily a fan of that, so, but was something we had talked about previously, so I'm including it within the PowerPoint. Similar, although this is not white on white, but blue on white, so blue building with white trim, again showing the look with the separating divider walls to support the overhang. So, so that's basically it on the restroom. So I'll jump into the parking lot work that we're looking to do. So we're looking at a reconstruction of the parking lot. So we have some issues with the existing condition today. I would say the first piece that we have is our 3 handicap spaces. So if we look at those locations, there's a couple of issues. First, we are required to have 4 spaces based on the size of the parking lot. We're also required to have a van accessible space, so we don't have that accommodation currently. Besides that, we also have our access road from the paved section of Floral Way. That's our main access in and out, and typically you'll see cars if they're using those. It's very limited for us to be able to get in and out. So we've been using essentially that stone dust path area by the bleachers, which has eroded away. As it erodes, it goes into the lake, it goes into the stormwater system. Something that we don't really want to see happening. So here's how we're looking to fix most of these items. Also the 3 spaces at the end where the curve is. Very confusing. Personally, I don't even know how you park in those. So 2 of them, I don't even, if realistically in practice, it can actually block access getting around. So not something that we're a big fan of. So looking at our proposed condition, first piece that we're looking to do is that center island. We're going to change that and install a bioretention area. So it gives you a little example of what that looks like. It's kind of a depression area with some plants. We've been installing them around the lake to improve lake health and to treat stormwater before it gets discharged there. We're also looking to delineate the walking area around the parking lot in that curved area. So we would look to do more of a flush concrete as opposed to a all paving or a stripe. I think that would be a better option. Visually, you'll definitely be able to see it maintenance-wise, very minimal maintenance, so it makes sense to public works folks. We're also looking at, in the area where we have a low spot and the gravel area, we'd look at a paver plaza type look to it. So this is an example of something I've done before, so we're thinking something along that lines. If we go with the gray theme, we would go with a gray paver. And we have a few extra parking spaces. So by doing this layout, we're able to add an additional, we got an additional 4 spots in the top section. Currently, we have only, what do we have? We have 16 spaces up there. With the proposal, we'd be kind of realigning with the center aisle and be able to squeeze in another 4 spaces. We would also be looking to add the 4 parking spaces and configure the handicap spaces and configure them as shown. So we would move 2 spaces, kind of align them more into the curve, and then we would also add 2 van accessible spots, which would be located, if we went with the preferred location, right adjacent to the preferred bathroom location. We're also looking at a small reconfiguration of the curve. what we would be looking to do, we can actually add 2 spaces on the main, I guess the main travelways, if you want to look at it that way. And then we can reconfigure that curve to allow for more of a natural path around. So this gains us a little bit more space for folks making turns through there, bringing boats in or whatever for the ramp or for fire and police access. And that's about all I have. It's a fairly brief presentation, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions, so I am happy to answer those.
Thank you, Bill. So we are going to take questions and comment now. Just a couple of guidelines. First of all, we would ask anyone who's interested in speaking here in the room to please go to the microphones and back and speak into the microphone so everyone can hear you and so the folks that are watching online can hear you as well. We will ask you to limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Please state your name and address when you come on, and of course, please make sure that your comments are relevant to Veterans Field and the project that we're talking about here. We also ask that if you have additional comments to please wait until everyone else has a chance to speak before you come back up. I'd like to start with comments in the room, and then to the extent that we have comments online, we will take those as well. So if anyone has any comments, again, please head to the microphones in the back. Yes, Mr. McLaughlin.
Hi, good evening. Bob McLaughlin, 376 Water Street. I just wanted to take the room into the Wayback Machine here for a couple of minutes, going back to 2002. I actually wrote a letter to the to the Wakefield Item and the Observer about concerning restrooms. That's always been a pet peeve of with myself and my family. Raising our kids in Wakefield, that we never had any restrooms around Lake Quannapowitt. It's always been a problem, in my opinion. And here we are 20 years later. But I literally did write a letter to the newspaper, and I brought up the idea of doing having a concessionaire build the building with the restrooms, let them maintain it, let them open up a snack stand, let them have a boat ramp, let them rent out paddle boats and canoes and rowboats, and then give us a kickback from the profits that they make. We'd lease the land to them. We would give them a design for a building. We were thinking, I talked to several people about this 20 years ago, and possibly using one of the old boat shacks that they used to have up on Main Street on Lakeside. There's plenty of postcards and pictures of those things around, and do a replica of what used to be on the lake, and use that as an example for architecture, and let a concessionaire build it. This is what Cranes Beach, they have a concessionaire. I did a lot of research on this 20 years ago. I don't remember every single thing about it, but there is a way to do this where you let an outside vendor, let them build it, let them run it, and then they kick back a percentage. And do it over maybe like a 10-year lease or something like that. But in any event, I submitted, just for the record, a Wakefield item from May 22nd, 2002, and that was a very affirmative editorial done by the Wakefield item, saying that this is not a bad idea and we should look into it. And then I also submitted an article from the Wakefield Observer and the Wakefield item from June 13th. They were covering a June 10th, 2002 selectmen's meeting, which they were also on board on this, to the point where we actually had a committee that was put together. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you, after that. I think I might have I think there might have been 1 or 2 meetings, but in any event, that's as far as it went. But I just wanted to bring it into the context of this meeting that, we did do this. We tried this 20 years ago, something. So, but going back to a concessionaire, I still think it's a good idea. Other cities and towns do that, and they use their, they've got we have a big audience, and also, they maintain those buildings, they maintain the restrooms, and there's activity there. If you have a concession stand, they can rent ice skates out like Market Street. They could do a lot of things, to enhance the recreation use of Lake Quannapowitt. And I think that would be, and as far as the safety issue, I think that would be an excellent idea to do something like that. But that's my comment. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. We'll take sir on the left.
Hi, my name is Quinn Sykes, 16 Western Ave. Questions, how does this impact the farmer's market during construction?
So we're not anticipating a major hindrance to the farmer's market, so most of the work would happen during the week. Obviously, it's a Saturday activity. We would be kind of grinding up the road, similar to what we would do with a roadway reclamation, regrading it, so there'd be maybe a week or two where it's gravel as opposed to paved. We can still delineate the locations. I would anticipate probably taking up a couple of spots during construction for the bathroom. As they're bringing that in, they're going to need some swing space to make that work, but I'm expecting this to be minimally impactful to them, and we've had a meeting with, kind of with the folks at the farmer's market about it.
Okay. If we go with one of the options that does not include storage,
Yep.
are we still going to have the storage container for the farmer's market?
Yeah, that would stay.
All right, that's my question.
There you go.
Sir, please go ahead.
Hi, is this working?
It's
Great. My name's Ed Everts. We live at 42 Church Street in Wakefield, right across from the area where the facility is designated to be built. I really have three questions. One, as much as we love the farmer's market and hope it's going to be there forever, is the storage section of the facility mandatory? In other words, could there be other options for storage that would then give us more options for the facility location?
I was going to say, Bill, if you want to take those one at a time.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I would say, yeah, I think you could definitely look at changing the type of structure that's there. The location, again, I said I think it was option one for siting would, basically be able to be built larger to incorporate the space that they use currently with the trailer. So that was the thought about that siting location. So, locations 2 and 3 by the ball field, those just wouldn't have enough room to be able to accommodate the space that they need.
Got it. Again, we love the farmer's market,
Yep.
but given that it's variable, curious about that. My second question is, do you anticipate maintaining the electric charging station that's currently there?
Yep, they'll stay in the same location.
Okay, great. So again, we live across the street from the area that you're proposing. We're big fans of restrooms, so for us it's not a issue of having a restroom, but location is super important, especially when we look at the lake as the #1 asset probably in the town of Wakefield. And I'm curious how we're going to vote on that option. If my wife Kathy and I had a vote, it would be option #1. It's nearest to where the storage unit for the farmer's market is. It's not as visible to people who are walking or looking at the lake. There are not many great views of the lake necessarily on that side of the lake, because when you take a right on North Ave, there are homes through most of the lake. I mean, the other side of the lake, of course, is fully open. So I guess I'm curious, how are we going to vote on whether it's option 1, 2, or 3?
So the council's provided feedback at the last meeting and liked option 2. I figured it made sense to, have the dialogue here in case there was, a bunch of folks that wanted a different location. So,
Got it.
I mean, it is more expensive. That would be, because we have to run all the utilities there. We currently have a water bubbler that's there, so there's a water line coming into option 2 and 3, that area. So there's an added cost to it, but.
Well, and I know you can't quote numbers specifically, but when you say more expensive, is it significantly more expensive, like double the price, or is it a couple of $1,000s?
No, it's in the tens of thousands, I would say. Probably high tens of thousands.
Okay.
But yeah.
Again, our vote would certainly be location #1, which is, and I know I can't speak for everybody in town, but when you think about where the Hartshorn House is, we just recently redid the tennis courts and put in pickleball courts. You want to maintain that view. And of course, once you build a facility, you can't move it or take it down necessarily, right? So maintaining that view should be option #1 in respect to where the location should be. And we think #1 is the winning choice. Thank you so much. By the way, we appreciate all the work that all of you do. I don't know if you get enough appreciation, but we appreciate all of your hard work and contributions for the town of Wakefield.
Thank you.
Great.
Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, sir. Any comments, additional comments or questions in the room? Go ahead, Ms. Scott.
Hi, how are you? Julie Scott, Central Street. Thanks so much for doing this tonight. This is great. What's the total parking count in the new parking lot.
In the new configuration, jump back, I have it on the slide. And it'll keep going forward. All right, keep going forward. Where am I working? Oh, I can work it. I'm locked up. We're getting there. It's actually towards the end. Ian, if I'm getting help up there, it's towards the end. Right there, that's good. So currently we have, let's see, 20, so we're adding an additional 6 spaces in the area. So I can count the little rows, but yeah, that's the number, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
My concern, and I've emailed you guys about this, is when you have softball teams, you've got about 15 players, and then you have support staff for each team. So that's 30 to maybe 37 spaces. And if the pickleball courts are full, that could be possibly 16 more spaces needed. The other day I saw about 22 people on the court because some people were waiting, they were transitioning. So parking's always a concern for me, but I'm glad to see the improvement. I'm glad to see the charging staying. During the historical commission meeting, we talked about trees a little bit. And I was hoping that you could reach out to Dennis Fazio and talk about maybe bringing some of the beautiful, colorful foliating trees in the cemetery onto the Hall Park area. Because if you want the best foliage in Wakefield, it's Lakeside Cemetery. It's absolutely stunning. I think they have a lot of maples. I don't know if that would work for the area.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm glad you're talking about adding a van accessible parking space, because when you Google that park and you Google parks in Wakefield, that is one complaint, that some of our parks do not have handicap spaces for vans.
Yep.
So if you could think about looking at that in other parks as well.
Yeah, we do that with the Disability Commission. So
Yeah.
if you want to plug in on the open space plan that we're working on,
Okay, 'cause-
there's a portion of our ADA transition plan
Yeah.
that they're doing. So there's
Okay.
kind of a self-assessment, and then what we have to do.
Because it was interesting, when people reviewed our different parks, they specifically mentioned a couple of parks not having van access. I wouldn't notice that, because I have had to use the other handicap spaces, but for a lot of people, that's a real issue. Thanks for looking into that. When this whole process is continued, will the bench policy take this forward, where you guys will pick one, and then we have 30 days as a town to give you more feedback, or would this sort of be it?
Yep, so this is the hearing that's contemplated in the bench policy.
Okay. Let's see if I had anything else. I did email a couple of people and over the past 3 years about reaching out to other groups, because I didn't know that Mr. McLaughlin was going to speak about having some sort of a concession stand there. But that has been something that other groups had thought that we could discuss. These 3 options are firm, correct?
If there's another idea that comes out of this meeting, I'd be happy to entertain it.
Okay, because I know I had talked to a couple of counselors in the past about how I travel a lot to visit my family in Ireland, and with their weather conditions, they have temporary places, and then they take them away during the colder months. We certainly have much colder months here.
Yeah.
Would this facility be heated, because we will have pipes?
No, this is going to be probably a 3-season, I guess, Joe. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we'd envision it probably to function seasonally, so sometime in April, once you're outside of like
Okay.
frost considerations, until right around Veterans Day.
Yeah, it's similar to what we do with some of the other parks too. So
Because
it would
that's,
follow that.
in Ireland, they remove it for those months, because they don't have a heating element to theirs either.
Okay.
And it's just, it's a consideration, and I really did like the concession idea. Where I go, where my cousins live, they actually rent chairs, so that, imagine Hall Park having a set of uniform chairs that people could rent, and then they return them and they get their money back. It would look beautiful if the chairs were uniform. And the businesses in Ballincollig, where my cousins live, actually sign up. Like the bakeries will sign up and use the facility for a day or a week, or however they do their scheduling. They have bakers, they have coffee, they have sandwiches, and different elements in the community, different small businesses sign up and use that space. And then it's manned, and then it's safer for families who are using it, and young people or young women who are out, you know, on their own. And it has a closing hour, and it has people taking care of it. So it helps the small businesses, because honestly, when you do the lake, you're really trying to lose weight, and you're not going to go downtown, but if the food's right there, you are going to eat it. I do that when I go to the muffin shop.
I can tell you that I'm trying to lose weight, so there you go.
Thanks so much for tonight. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Sir, please go ahead.
Hi, Lee Danielson, 175 North Avenue. I just have a quick question. I looked at some of the early designs, and it looked like one of the bathroom layouts had 3 restrooms rather than 2. It seems like if we can get 3 instead of 2, that would be an advantage.
Yeah, so when we size these things, they look at kind of a person per hour situation. So 2 should be fine. We have a consultant that's helping me out with the restroom portion of it, and they've said 2 should be more than adequate for the uses that we have. What you're seeing in those other photos are like storage areas. So that's a door in the front to be able to get to storage within the facility.
Yeah, I thought there was one that had a storage area in the back.
Right,
3
yeah.
restrooms.
And we were thinking that what we would do if we used that specific unit, we would knock down that back wall and have it as a kind of like a T storage facility. So it would have like a T shape to it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Janice Williamson. I'm at 104 Green Street. I am one of the volunteers at the market, and I don't know if you realize just how much space we actually need for storage. You would be like doubling the size of that building.
Nope, understood. No, that's totally understood. A couple of the renderings looked at, I mean, it's a much bigger building.
Okay.
You know, we'd be looking at this, basically the same size as that, the shipping container, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And I just am very concerned and hope that this bathroom will really be maintained, because we've had porta potties there that have been really, there's been times where it's been very smelly and not great to be around all the food and everything else where everybody's enjoying the market. So I am concerned about that, but just I'm assuming that you guys will keep it clean.
Yeah.
And just one other comment. We have a concession for boats on the common part of the lake, so I don't know why you need to put another concession. I mean, the Boys and Girls Club are doing a great job. I've used their boats, their canoes, and kayaks, so I'm not sure why another concession would be needed there.
Joe or Bill, are you able to speak a little bit about the maintenance plan for the restroom, or is that premature at this point?
Sure, I can speak to that. So we definitely have had the conversation. We haven't gotten too much into detail. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse. The expensive sounding cliche there. But I envisioned it as something, depending on what the hours of the operation of the building are, it would have to be visited at least once daily, if not multiple times. I know we've spent a lot of time in-house as we were going through concepts and things like that, making sure that when it comes time for fixtures and designs inside, that it's optimal to make sure that it's easily cleaned. And there's some deterrent to anybody getting in there and making a real mess out of it. But we would anticipate being there every day, as long as it's open, if not multiple times a day. And we're up to whatever that challenge may be when we decide, the operating hours and a couple more policy things like that. We're basically ready to take on the challenge and get it done.
And compared to the porta potties that are there now, I'm certain those don't get serviced once a day.
No, so those are serviced about 3 or 4 times a week. They're a little cyclical depending on what's going on, typically around the 4th of July and some of the activities that you have at Vets Field. The vendor that has those out there comes in more frequently. Should we need to call them, though, if we get a call during the day that there's a reason for them to visit it, we can always get them there in a moment's notice. I would imagine if the permanent structure's there, that would just default into Public Works. So if we were notified that there was an issue there, You know, there's about 60 of us on the street at all times, so we would just go down there at a minimum, make it safe, and then, you know, do what we needed to do to fix whatever might be existing there.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
I'd like to open it up now to comment to anyone online who's interested in asking a question or making a comment. I don't know if we have any comments in the chat, Ian.
There's nothing in the chat.
All right, I see a hand raised for Robin Greenberg. If you want to go ahead, Robin.
Hi, Robin Greenberg, 3 Auburn Street. I have a couple comments and questions in no particular order. One question I have is, why was a prefab considered instead of using the vocational schools to both design and build it? They are given the skills and training that this building would require, so why not we give them an opportunity to showcase their skills? Also, in terms of siting the location, I would love for the town to consider potential for solar panels, photovoltaics, both as a demonstration for the town's commitment to green energy and also to power the lighting that this building would require. I also had a thought when I first looked at the proposal of why isn't a snack sales counter provided? I understand there is something provided at the boats, but you know, when folks come to softball, they wouldn't know that, so it would be a potential opportunity for those who rent out the fields. I know past discussions included the question about gender labeling, and I think it's fantastic the current plans do not label the genders. Having 2 single-user toilets allows anyone and everyone just to use what they need and keeps the line going. As a volunteer at the farmer's market, I like the idea that a storage room would be provided, but our shed does work, so don't have strong feelings about it. I love the plans for the parking lot of increasing the impermeable surface by providing the plants and some absorption because flooding is a possibility. But I was wondering what the plan is for storm management on the roof of the building. Is that going to be taken into some water cisterns or is that going into septic? And finally, well, I'm just checking my notes. I think that's it for now. Oh, and the last question was, you said it's not going to be block, but I didn't hear what material the siding was being considered. Thank you.
Jill?
All right, so the prefabrication versus the vote discussion. So, you know, ultimately, when we were looking at this and contacted our consultant, we're really using a company called Public Bathrooms. That's what they do. So pretty much most of these things are done. I mean, we wouldn't want to have all wood considering, you know, the maintenance components of it too. The siding, we're looking at a type of hardy board or a siding. So it would have that feel. Inside would still be that, that block structure. You just won't see it. And then the other one that I heard was on the stormwater management. Roof leaders, there are a couple options that we can do. We may look at a porous paver, so we could basically tie it into that. It's a pretty small footprint in all likelihood. If not, we can tie it into the stormwater management system that goes you know, into the bioretention area we're going to design. So I hope that answered your questions, Robin.
Bill, I think there was another comment around solar panels. Are you able to comment on that?
We can, yeah, I mean, I don't, yeah, we can talk to our gas and light folks. You know, usually they're a partner with these types of situations, so I'm happy to have that conversation.
Robin, did that answer your questions?
It did partially, although the siding question, so you mentioned it might be cementitious like a hardy board, and then you said other. So is vinyl being considered, or are we thinking of healthy materials?
I mean, if there's a preference that the town has, I think I'm happy to use it. I mean, honestly, I figured hardy board is pretty common at this point, and it's not a huge building, obviously. So from a cost standpoint, that would be fine. If that's what you're looking. If that's what.
I was thinking more of the hardy than avoiding the vinyl. But going back to the vote, does the vocational school not have a masonry program? So just because it's blocked, does that keep them from being able to build it?
I mean, they could do the finishing work. I mean, I think that's an idea. I mean, again, this is very preliminary. I think that's
that's why I'm asking. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point and something we can evaluate.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Robin. Any other questions online? Seeing none at the moment,
Not at this time.
thank you, Sherry. We'll go back to the
Sure.
room here, sir, if you want to grab the microphone.
Hello, Darrell Michaud, 6 Swain Street. I looked at the proposals for the very first time tonight where we're thinking of actually putting the bathrooms in the buildings. And one thing that struck me was the diagrams show the facade, the front of the structure, and how nice that's going to look. And some of those locations 2 and 3, have a natural front and then a natural back that, say, wouldn't have to look as nice. But location 1, which has some advantages, it's closer to the market, would have potential for more storage. That might not have as much of a natural back as some of the other structures. Pretty much that whole area is very scenic, and people wander about on all sides. And maybe if that turns out to be the location, we might have to think about not making sure that one side of the structure wasn't the ugly side. Maybe that might involve awnings on both sides. Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at to do the same treatment, whatever facade treatment we do would match on all 4 sides.
Oh.
So that's what we were showing. There was a couple of ISO views that you might have missed, but they have basically carry the same theme with the trim and whatnot.
For the awnings, while I'm here, I did like the more open awnings versus the ones with the walls and the dividing. Thank you.
Thank you. Check online. Any questions online? Or anyone else here in the auditorium?
Hi, Julie Scott again. You'll be working on the color.
Yeah, I mean, my preference would be the gray and the white. I think that looks good. I've heard white as another option. I'm not sure if blue is what folks are thinking, but something that I've heard from other people, so.
It's something that when you're on the other side of the lake, you don't want it to stick out.
Okay.
You want to see Vets Field, you don't want to see a big bathroom. That picture right there, I know the Historical Commission had talked to you about the pinnacle over the overhang. In one of the diagrams, it looked like a star. It had separate pieces of wood in one of the original diagrams.
Oh, one of my older ones, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's gone
Yeah,
since
that's
the
gone.
Historical
Yeah, so
Commission?
we heard the feedback, so we
Great.
eliminated it.
Because that wasn't in the time piece of that area.
So you're talking on the right here, so.
Yes,
more like that
exactly. So, great,
Yeah.
thank you for listening to
truss.
them. That was a good suggestion by them. I'm not a bioretention expert at all. Is that enough area for a bioretention?
Absolutely.
Would you assume that, would there be a possibility to make more?
Well, you run into an issue with setbacks. So if we're infiltrating, we have to be 100 feet from the lake. Although it is a retrofit, so their DEP may allow it and the commission may allow it. But I got some pushback when I was doing the tennis and pickleball courts, and we did the bioretention area. It kind of tucked into the hill. So, that was kind of maximizing the distance is what we were doing there, so.
Are you fixing, there's a definite slope in that parking lot?
Yep.
Is
We're
where the
regrading the
slopage area?
Yeah, we're trying to get as much of the
Erasing
parking
it.
lot and regrading it to get it into that bioretention area. Again, we're constrained in some locations, but we have parks, so if I'm trying to pick up, say, 6 inches, I can still grade and feather back into to it, so I'm thinking of doing it that way.
Can they move to the picture of the bioretention area for a sec? I don't know anything about them, so I'm going to just throw an idea out there. It's only in the center of the parking lot.
It is.
Is there any way or any need, I don't know about this, to put it all right, looking at the picture, at the top of the parking lot at the picture,
Yeah,
and looking at the picture at the bottom, put more.
Yeah, so the bottom,
Would that be helpful?
Well, the bottom, we're looking to move the sidewalk up against the curb there in that area, so that folks getting out of their car can walk right on to the rather than going over grass if they're
Okay.
looking to get places.
Yeah.
On the top side, we weren't looking to reconstruct the sidewalk that whole way. We potentially could, you know, if I'm doing that, we'd probably look to do the same idea and move it towards the street, but there may be areas, you know, depending
You
on
think that's enough?
the size, that's plenty big enough. Yeah, definitely plenty big enough for the parking lot, because I'm not gonna be able to pick the whole thing up. So the sections, as I get closer to the lake, that, you know, I can't grade because I run into floodplain problems, so I have that constraint, so I'm probably looking at 75% of the parking lot getting in.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions in the auditorium or online? Please, go ahead. I apologize, we're making you walk all the way back to the microphone. We'll get our steps in today.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sarah Atanisov. I'm not from Wakefield, I'm from Saugus, but I participate in the farmers market as much as I can, at least 6 to 8 times during the whole season. I think the farmers market is a great place for the town and for the people of not just Wakefield, from wherever else. They come and I see families with their dogs, with their children, having a great time, which is a wonderful thing, and it's a positive thing for the town as well as the vicinity of the other towns surrounding Wakefield. Because I'm a participant, I wanted to, this is my first meeting, so I don't know that much about, you know, what you're doing, but I learned a lot tonight. My question is, when is this whole renovation going to take place?
We're looking to start in spring, preferably early spring. Realistically, that would extend though, so the parking lot work would be what I'd try to pulse on to get that completed. The goal would be to get it done before the farmer's market opens, or, you know, only maybe impact 1 month. The bathroom themselves, they have a long lead time though, so they're looking at 6 months plus. So if we get feedback and we're all in a consensus, we're going to be going back to the town council in 2 weeks at this point. 2 weeks for their final vote, I hope, and then if we have the go-ahead on that, we'll start advancing our design. My goal would be to get it bid in December, so we would have, you know, the first 3-4 months of the year to order materials and have them being manufactured. So, so I'm hoping to get this done next year.
That's wonderful. As far as the storage unit, the current one that they have is really, really, really small, and everything is just thrown in there. The new one, is it bigger than the current one?
Well, we're not necessarily proposing that at this point. So the preferred location was next to the bleachers, where the porta potties are today.
I see.
Right. So, you know, in talking with the folks from the farmers market, they said they're more than comfortable with the container that's there. You know, if we wanted to look at maybe covering it so it has a similar look to the bathroom facade, we could do something like that. Unless there's a real request for it to be at the farmers market location. So I mean, I'm personally, you know, I'm looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint for saving the utility costs, and also the smaller building is cheaper. So I definitely stay on budget. That's a big piece.
So we would still continue using the same one that we're using right now for storage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
No, the reason why I brought that up, because I know that I'm speaking for myself, and I think there's a couple other people who are participant of the market who need to bring in their own tent every single week. And we were just wondering if there would be enough space to bring ours and leave it there so you don't have to bring it back and forth, because a lot of us either don't have the space in the cart that we use, and also just for the heaviness of the type of tent that you have to be able, you know, to carry it and transport it every single time.
Yeah, the only concern I'd have is just that then it opens up to everybody's tents, right? So that would be my only concern, but I think we can have a dialogue on that.
Okay.
I mean, we have a few months here. Like I said, I'm trying to get this completed by December, end of December. So, you know, you can reach out to me at the engineering division number, main number on the website, and we can definitely talk about that. I'd also recommend talking to the other farmers market folks, so there's some consensus among the farmers market, you know, people. Is that what I call them, I guess? Farmers market people?
Yeah, because a lot of the other people who participate, who set up every single week, they sign up for the entire season.
Sure.
And I would think it would make a lot of sense if they just left their tent there behind for every single week, so they wouldn't have to bring it in, take it out, you know, and all that. Some of them are elderly. I know, I speak for myself, and it's a heavy piece to carry. But like I said, I do love it, and I will do anything, ask for help, or when I get there for somebody else to help me, bring it out or whatever. So I appreciate, you know, all the time you're putting into it, and I appreciate you guys being here tonight.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you for your participation in the farmers market as well. It's great to have someone from Saugus come here for our events.
I love it, and from the feedback that I get from the clients, they all look, they ask, where is the lady who makes, you know, the placemats or the table runner or the children's cloth books? It's all handmade stuff, and there's really not too many places that you can go to find things like that. So it's kind of nice, and it's a compliment to me, knowing that people are looking for me. So I would love to continue as much as I can, or as long as I have my health to be able to get there.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We hope that's for a long time. We've got a question online, it looks like. Sorry, just to read, it's a comment in the chat, just to read it out from Robin Greenberg at 3 Auburn Street. I asked that the project include better, larger signage to control entry and exit into the lot. Right now it is too small and folks aren't following them, creating dangerous conditions for drivers and walkers crossing the entities. So thank you, Robin, for the comment.
Makes sense. We can do that.
Great. Any other comments or questions, either online or in the auditorium? Well, hearing none, I will look to my colleagues for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
And do we have a second from the council?
Second.
Great. All those in favor, members of the council? Opposed? All right, so we are officially adjourned today. Please know, though, there is an opportunity to continue providing feedback, either directly to the engineering department. The contact information's on Town Hall, Town Administrator Mayo, or certainly anyone else on the council. Please be in touch if you have any other questions or comments. We thank you again for attending today. We thank you again for the excellent questions and comments, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.